Due to suggestive adult themes and dialogue, this podcast is intended for adults. In other words, the truth is ugly, so we get ugly right along with it. Everything we say is out of love for ourselves, our people, and our community. Sincerely, the Green Route Podcast.
And stop the damn dancing. Act like you got some goddamn sense, people.
Black people don't hope, we wish. We wish a motherfucker would be in our shit.
As far as I'm concerned, they could burn this bitch to the ground. And it still wouldn't be enough. And they are lucky that what black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.
Want to welcome y'all to the Green Route Podcast, episode number 30. So our podcast is now officially 30.
That's crazy.
So now it's getting good sleep now. It's trying to get some good sleep.
Yes, it ain't worried about that little shit no more.
It ain't staying out too late. It ain't staying out too late no more. Our podcast is, it's a little more, it's a tad bit more responsible. It's just a little bit more responsible. It's still making 20-year-old mistakes. But
it's thinking about buying a house now.
It's considering, yes. It's, thinking things a little more seriously. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we at right now.
What's your name?
I go by GS.
Okay, and I'm Marlissa. Sorry we didn't introduce ourselves, y'all. We were excited about our podcast, Coming of Age.
Yes, we were excited about that. So, I want to welcome y'all to the Green Route Podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in, tapping in. And we going to jump right into it after I pass my partner.
Oh, the hookah.
Yeah, we got a new one.
Look, we coming up in the world. I'm just saying.
We just trying to come up, y'all.
I'm thinking about buying my dogs like some gold chain collars. You know what I mean? As I climb. As should they.
As they
better
should.
Food, better bitch. No,
better bitches. I mean, it's a female dog. You have male dogs. You want,
I was pretty proud of myself with that joke. I thought it landed. I thought it landed. I thought it was good.
You know what I'm saying? You got to commit to it, though.
Yeah, you gotta follow through. You're right. All right, so we jumping in. Man, first thing on the list, Southwest Airlines and the fuckery that's going on over there.
So Southwest Airlines, of course, the first thing that I thought about was how much are the CEOs getting paid. That was the number one thing that came to my mind. How much did they make? And I think it said that they made the CEO made $9 million the year before.
Yep. That was after I think a 9% raise.
After a 9% raise.
Yeah.
So one article I read, and this is an opinion article, but they were saying that, of course, just like most company corporate interests, instead of actually using the money to prepare themselves for things like this, they chose to spend it in other ways. Like I think it's just one of those things where it's like, I mean, it's exactly that. Imagine giving your leader, your boss, the head person, a pay raise, and then while he's on watch that same year, everything goes to shit.
When and you're 100% right. So that opinion article, I'm not sure which one it was, but like anyone who's worked in corporate knew what happened, because this happens all over corporate America, where a lot of the money, the revenue and the profit goes into stock buybacks, it goes to executive salaries, executive bonuses, and they miss the critical infrastructure investment. And that is expensive. This is capital investment, but the beauty of being in corporate America is that capital investment is what gets you the ROI. So for AT&T, you lay fiber in the ground in different neighborhoods, and then you go market to those customers and say, hey, get on my network, and that's how you make your money back from the cost of laying fibers. Well, Southwest decided, and this is after the unions and the employees was like, yo, this dinosaur system is going to fail. We promise you. The unions have been saying this for years to the executives. And instead of upgrading or replacing the dinosaur system, they kept it in place. And it was like literally a perfect storm for this system to fail because of the way it works. Like, so I did a quick explainer, and I'll explain it here on the podcast. So the way it goes down, so Southwest, of course, was impacted by the storm. Everybody was impacted by Winter Storm Elliott. But the reason Southwest was worse off than other airlines, it was for two reasons, really. Number one is because they have a point-to-point system rather than a hub. So point-to-point means we fly from Dallas to Atlanta, then we're going to Nashville to Charlotte, back to Dallas. Most airlines, like Delta,
cycle, kind of like a cycle.
It's like a circle, right? Most airlines will do, say Delta, their hub is Atlanta. They'll do Dallas to Atlanta, and then they'll go Atlanta to Charlotte, back to Atlanta, and then they'll go Atlanta to Denver, back to Atlanta. So that means that like they know where their crews are and where their planes are at all times, and if if there's one delay, it doesn't fuck up the whole system. But because of all the cancellations and the delays, like, if the plane doesn't take off, that means the crew and the plane that was supposed to be in that next city never gets there, and there's no one to get those people. That also means that you're missing a crew and a plane for an already scheduled flight. So once that shit started snowballing, like, it was crazy. The other thing, and the second part that happened here, is that the crew, the pilots and the what do you call them, attendants, flight attendants, they have to call into a scheduling group to become aware of the changes in their schedule.
They have to call into one.
They have to call in. So, you know, everything was shitty, right? So it's not like everything is like updating automatically, because they literally have had all of these cancellations and delays. So crew members are calling into the scheduling group. Well, you got staffing shortages just like every other airline, and you got a shit ton of free crew members all of a sudden because of how many cancellations they had. So I'm hearing that crew members were on the phone for 2.5 hours at some point. So much so that by the time they got a schedule update, they had already timed out for the allotted amount of time that airline workers, specifically if you're flying a plane or an attendant, like, you have caps because of, you know, you could be exhausted, a plane could crash, right? We can't have that. So you had these caps. So they were like timing out for the allotted amount of time they're able to work. The whole shit came burning down. And I was so glad, because at first Southwest came out and was like, oh, it's the storm. But then everybody, like, the American public was like, well, was there a personal storm for Southwest? Because everybody is dealing with this storm.
Because, truth be told, statistically speaking, 90%
there you go.
of the canceled flights were Southwest.
There you go. So people started looking like, something don't seem right. And then the CEO finally came out and was like, no, y'all right. We should have made some critical investments years ago that we didn't. He said, we've been discussing it, though. We've been talking about making these updates.
That sound good.
But you know how much they spent on stock buybacks?
How much?
Tens of billions of dollars of COVID money they used for stock buybacks instead of upgrading their systems, paying their people more. And if you haven't been paying attention, Southwest has been like having a lot of strikes here in Dallas. Their headquarters is here in Dallas. Pilots have been striking. Their crew members have been striking. In Denver, they had like a walk-off of the ramp agents because of this letter a VP sent that was like, yeah, you ain't getting no more PTO, and if you don't have a doctor's note, you can't have any sick time, and also we're on mandatory overtime. Dead ass. So we talk about unions and why unions are important. This is probably a prime example, I think, in 2022 of why bargaining power amongst employees, specifically like working level on the ground employees, is important, because he shouldn't have even ever been able to send that letter to them. Had a strong union been in place, he would have never sent a letter like that. I mean,
mandatory overtime just sounds like slavery, just modern day slavery. Like, you don't have a choice, but you have to work. That point-to-point system should have been fixed. A lot of shit should have been fixed.
They do it to save money. We already know what it is.
And they don't count on these things happening. So, honestly, it's just a matter of, with every institution, they're becoming exposed by these outside conditions. Yeah. And not only, well, it's actually two parts. It's not only outside conditions, but it's the people, if they're able to bring themselves together enough to unionize. So it's just like, why don't you just do right by your workers?
That's right.
Here we are.
Yep. They gonna have to pay. I'm telling all my friends, like, save your receipts, everything that you had to pay for because your trip was extended, all those expensive. Not only do they need to reimburse you for your canceled flight, but anything that you had to pay in excess because you were stranded
they about
longer.
To pay out a lot. They about to pay out.
And the Department of Transportation just told Southwest, like, you are expected to pay customers for your fuck up, your meltdown. Yep. Yeah. But shout out to the other airlines who made a shit ton of money because people were rebooking to get home when their Southwest flights were canceled. So shout out to all the other airlines who were able to scoop up those customers and get them home. But yeah, Southwest may have to pay for those flights too. Those additional flights.
Good.
Yep.
As they should.
Yep.
Any company that participates in stock buybacks, I hope you eventually fall on your face.
$9.3 million, and the best he had to offer was, we've been talking about upgrading that system.
Boy,
that's the best you got.
We got people who miss family. This is
one guy missed a heart transplant because his flight was canceled. I just saw the article today.
Heart transplant? This is life. This is literally life and death.
Yep, because the flight was canceled. It's crazy.
Sunshine, sunshine, tell me where you are. through my life.